Rita flew up to the third floor and stopped for a few seconds at the front door. She had to catch her breath a little and try to calm down, so that Sergei wouldn't immediately realize from her look that something had happened. Taking a few deep breaths, the girl took out of her purse keys on a beautiful keychain in the shape of a heart with shimmering rhinestones, carefully opened the door and entered the apartment. Once in the hallway, Rita heard her husband laughing. So, already awake, slept after the night shift. Taking off her shoes, the girl noticed unfamiliar black sneakers standing next to her husband's shoes. Oh shit! Rita was companionable, sociable, very fond of guests. But now it's not convenient. She sighed, went to the door to the hall and opened it, without noticing that on the strange black sneakers coquettishly glittered small transparent stones. Rita, why are you so early? Her husband's words sounded muffled, as if he was suddenly losing his voice. Margarita was still standing in the doorway, for some reason hesitating to enter. A very pretty girl was sitting on the sofa next to Sergei. There was a coffee table on which stood 2 cups of tea and a vase of cakes. Everything seemed to be decent people sitting, drinking tea. But Rita stood and looked carefully at the whole picture, like a spectator in a theater, trying to catch every detail. And there were plenty of little things. What was the big deal? A tea party of old acquaintances. Only the stranger sat somehow too close to Rita's husband. Maybe they were watching a horror movie, and she moved closer to her friend out of fear? No, the screen was showing the action of an ordinary melodrama. Again, the girl's dress is not short, but for some reason it is gathered in folds at the top of the hips, exposing the mind-boggling beauty of her legs. And the lipstick is so bright on the lips, bold red color, more suitable for the evening, not for a friendly meeting in the morning. In general, it all looked like a romantic date, not a meeting of a former classmate with her married friend. But the main thing was the awkward pause and guilty glances. Sergei was very confused, his guest also tensed. Rita clearly caught the couple by surprise, and neither of them did not even try to say something like, "It's not what you thought." For everything was clear without words. The stranger was the first to die. Trying not to look at Rita, she stood up, adjusted her dress, and asked uncertainly, "Sergei, shall I go?" Sergei was silent, shifting his confused gaze from his guest to his wife. Rita took a deep breath and walked across the hall, pulled the curtains open and, grabbing the handle tightly, opened the window. Taking a breath of fresh May air, which together with the wind rushed into the room, the girl turned around. On the computer desk near the window stood an open woman's bag. A familiar, graceful bottle was sticking out of the bag. Exactly the same perfume Sergei had recently given to Rita and was very delighted with the fragrance. To tell the truth, she didn't like the perfume very much, but she used it sometimes, just to please her husband. Rita was always surprised when she smelled this fragrance coming from Sergei's clothes. Wow, what a persistent. That would be my favorite perfume, so long lasted. So no, weathered in an hour, and this directly haunted. Now the puzzle was put together. Probably her husband specially bought for her the same bottle, as for this madam, for the purposes of conspiracy, so that she did not give him a scandal because of the smell of someone else's perfume. She felt dizzy. After a couple of seconds, Rita opened the window wide, grabbed the bag, and swung it out onto the road. The stranger gasped and rushed into the hallway. A few moments later, the door slammed shut behind her. Rita was still standing, turned away from the window. Sergei shouted, "Are you quite stupid? Or what?" And after another 5 seconds, the door slammed again. There was a deafening silence. What happened next, Rita remembered badly. She seemed to be screaming and throwing things on the floor. The girl came to her senses a couple hours later, sitting on the floor. The room was in chaos. On the floor was scattered everything that stood on the shelves. Photos in frames, books, figurines. Rita got up slowly, went out into the hallway and looked at herself in the mirror. Pretty, to say the least. Her eyes were puffy and puffy, her eyelashes were slick with mascara, and 2 black streaks ran down her cheeks. Rita opened her purse to get some wet wipes, and when she saw the 2-striped pregnancy test in it, she burst into tears again. After cleaning up the mess in her room, the girl sat on the couch and thought back to this morning. It seemed like an eternity had already passed. This morning, as usual, Rita was going to work. She felt unwell, weak and dizzy, which she wrote off as a lack of sleep, usual for Monday. Sergei had come in from the night shift, and when Rita made up in front of the mirror 5 minutes before leaving, he had already showered and, kissing his wife goodbye, had gone to sleep. On the bus, the girl was seasick. Her head felt like a metal hoop and she couldn't get enough air. Thankfully, it was only 2 stops and she was glad to get out of the stuffy transportation, greedily gulping the fresh morning air. "Rita, why are you so pale?" concerned asked her partner Anna. "I don't know, Anna. Since morning something is not good, something, nausea. Have you poisoned something or something? What could you poison yourself with early in the morning? You don't eat breakfast. Listen, are you pregnant by any chance?" "You're not, no." Rita stretched out thoughtfully. "Are you sure? Maybe take a test?" "Anna, it's nothing. I didn't sleep well. I watched a movie late last night instead of sleeping." But my friend was already frantically digging through her fancy big bag. Go, do it. You know, just to be sure. I have it with me. Sasha and I are working hard on this issue. I have these tests everywhere, and at home, and in my bag. Rita rolled her eyes and took the package. "You can't get away from Anna. It's better to really go and do it." The girl came out of the restroom in a slight daze. Not only that she was still not feeling well, but also the test showed 2 stripes. Anna understood everything without words. "Rita, I told you. Congratulations. You guys. Well done. That's what it means. We went on vacation." "Well, Sasha and I need to go on vacation too." "Crazy," exhaled Rita. "Wait, aren't you happy? You've wanted a child for a long time, right?" "Yes, I'm glad, Anna, I'm glad. We wanted to have a baby for a long time, but it didn't work out. We stopped thinking about it somehow. When it comes, then it'll come." And it did. I just haven't realized it yet, I guess. Rita staggered backwards, grabbing the back of the chair and slowly sat down. "Rita, are you sick? Listen, don't go to work. You're completely white, your face is gone." "No, it'll pass now. Come on, don't be stubborn. It's Monday, it's not crowded. I can do it alone. Go home, rest. And in general, take care of yourself, you're not alone now." "Thank you, Anna. Really, I should rest more." Rita got ready and went outside. She didn't want to jolt in the stuffy bus, remembering the morning trip, and decided to walk. It was only half an hour to the house at a slow pace. The girl walked, breathing in the clean May air, and thought about how she would tell her husband this joyful and exciting news. I wonder how he would react. The leisurely walk did the girl good. When she reached the house, Rita felt almost no dizziness, only a slight excitement from the upcoming conversation with her husband. When she got to the entrance, she opened the door in eager anticipation and in a matter of seconds found herself in front of the apartment on the 3rd floor. What happened next, she replayed in her head for the 100th time that evening and could not believe that it was not a terrible dream. There was a slight click of the lock. In half a minute, Sergei appeared on the threshold of the room. "I thought you had already packed my things," he said nervously. "I don't have anything else to do?" Rita replied quietly, "You pack and try to be quick. Spare me your company." "Rita," said Sergei, coming a little closer, "well, you apologize to me, please. I should have told you earlier about everything and not deceive so long. I understand you're uncomfortable. You see, Sveta and I'm not interested in that." The girl cut her off. "Pack everything up quickly and leave." Rita stared at the screen of the phone, trying hard not to burst into tears in front of her husband. The last thing she wanted was to show him her weakness and worries. Those 20 minutes during which Sergei walked around the apartment seemed to her an eternity. Finally, the door slammed shut behind him and Rita let her feelings out again. The hospital corridor was unusually quiet and empty. It was surprising, but now the silence and emptiness was only to Rita's advantage. She didn't want to see anyone. The term is small, it will only need to take a pill and forget everything like a terrible dream, the girl reassured herself. She had little doubt that she didn't need a child from her traitor husband. "Mommy!" Suddenly a child's voice rang out. Rita's whole body shuddered and she turned around. At the end of the corridor, she saw a little girl in a bright blue dress, followed by a young woman. Rita thought she heard that shrill, thin voice from somewhere inside her, as if from her own heart. Everything squeezed inside. When she reached the right office, the girl looked intently at the door with the shiny number 5, then turned around and hurried away from the clinic. Summer was coming to an end. It was still quite warm during the day, but the nights were already almost autumnal cool, and in the morning it was chilly without a warm jacket or windbreaker. Rita, wrapped in a wide cardigan, walked pensively down the morning street, in no hurry to get anywhere. She had taken the day off from work, and she wanted to be alone with herself that day, not to run anywhere. In her purse, she had just received a freshly printed divorce certificate. Rita no longer cried at night, did not think incessantly about Sergei, did not see his features in every tall man passing by. It was no longer so painful from betrayal, as in the first days after the separation, and thoughts were more and more occupied with the future child and her own health. And yet today she was sad and wanted to feel sorry for herself. Everything was stupid and wrong in life. It was good that at least she and her ex-husband lived in her grandmother's apartment, and now she would not have to divide or look for a place to live. One less problem. And in general, all normal people, when waiting for a child, usually run to get married, and she here divorced, bitterly grinning at her unhappy thoughts. Rita sat down to rest on a bench in a quiet park. The sun began to warm up. The girl took off her cardigan, folded it neatly, and put it next to her on the seat. She sat admiring the beginning of yellowing leaves on the trees and the clear sky, enjoyed the fresh air, and did not immediately notice how a young man with a neat beard sat down on the bench next to her. What wonderful weather it is today, isn't it? Rita heard and turned her head. There was something familiar in the man's pleasant, calm face, but she couldn't remember him. Rita, you really don't recognize me, do you? He asked and smiled, squinting his right eye slightly. Alex. Wow. Rita looked at her former classmate in amazement. Yes. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. I see. Can I congratulate you? Quietly asked Alex, pointing with his eyes at the slightly bulging under the thin blouse tummy. Yes, here it is, the 5th month already. Well, I congratulate you. Rita, it's such a blessing. Do you know who's expected? Thank you, Alex. I'm having a daughter. Well, that's wonderful. But you look sad. Or was it just me? Rita looked at Alex and wanted to say that everything was fine, that she was just tired. But, unexpectedly for herself, the girl suddenly cried and told her classmate all her sad and unpleasant story. How painful it was when she learned about her husband's infidelity, how morally hard it is alone to prepare for the birth of a child, and how do not want to see the former again, but will have to, because it is his daughter too, no matter how it goes. Sobbing, Rita sat on the bench. She had long ago finished her story, and Alex still sat next to her and gently stroked her shoulder. Alex, I'm sorry I'm telling you all this. You know, lately I didn't feel like talking to anyone, and I needed to talk to someone. No way. I'm glad it's me you're talking to. I hope it makes you feel better. I'm always ready to help. Rita wiped her tears and smiled. She remembered what Alex used to be called in class, Night Alex, and how hopelessly in love with her he had been all through her school years. How he walked her home, how he carried her bag to and from school, how he worried when she fell in love with Sergei from the neighboring school in high school and ran to him for dates. And faithful Alex would stand outside her house and wait for her to come back, and only then would he go home. How she, already a student, invited all her classmates to her and Sergei's lavish wedding, and only Alex didn't come to the party, and it looked like he was thinking about the same thing now. What are you thinking about, Rita? Nothing. I'm a little tired. Alex, I should be getting home. Thanks for listening. No problem. I'm ready to listen to you every day. If you need to talk again, you call me. By the way, why don't we exchange phone numbers, so we don't get lost? Let's do it. Do you want me to walk you home? No, I live near here, 3 houses down on Gagarin. Is that the house where your grandmother used to live? Yes. Yes. Well, see you then? Alex said hopefully. Bye. Thank you. The weekend began with the weather outside the window. No matter how hard summer tried to stay longer, the fall still mercilessly stepped on its heels. On Saturday, Rita woke up hearing the sound of rain on the roof. Going to the window, she saw with regret how streams of water poured from the gray sky, and the trees bent from the strong wind. The girl shivered and wanted to crawl back under the blanket, but suddenly the phone rang. Hello, Rita. Didn't wake you up? She heard Alex's voice. No, I'm already awake. Do you mind if I come in for 10 minutes? I have a surprise for you. I have a surprise for you. No, I don't mind. Come in, Rita replied in surprise, and putting the kettle on in the kitchen, went to wash up. Half an hour later the doorbell rang. Rita opened it and saw her classmate on the threshold. He was holding a bouquet of dark maroon roses and was visibly excited. God, Alex. Why? Rita said with embarrassment. Come on, come in, you're soaking wet, aren't you? Come on, I'll make you some tea. Thank you for the flowers, they are very beautiful. In the kitchen the girl began to fuss, took out a vase, put the bouquet in it, poured tea and sat down at the table. The guest was silent all this time. Have some tea, Alex, warm yourself up, Rita said and took a sip of warm drink from her mug. Rita, marry me, Alex said suddenly. Rita froze, almost dropping the mug from her hands. When she recovered a little, she said quietly, Are you crazy, Alex? No, wait, you listen to me, please. I really want to help you. You were worried that your child will be registered to your ex-husband, did not want to cross paths with him anymore. You and I will get married, I'll be a father to your baby. You won't have to see Sergei again and you won't have to deal with these issues. Alex, this isn't a joke. You realize this is serious stuff, don't you? I'm not kidding, Rita. I love you. I've always loved you. But I don't love you, the girl said quietly. I know. I just want to help you. If you want, we'll divorce when the baby is born. I'm even ready to pay alimony. But right now it's the best solution, think about it. I'm ready to be a husband and a father. Thanks for the tea, Rita. Rita almost ran along the narrow path of the park, trying to catch up with 3-year-old daughter Pauline, who, laughing and squealing with delight, ran away from her. Finally, having run, the girl sat down in the sandbox, took out of her backpack colored molds and began to self-consciously mold dumplings from the wet sand. Rita sat down next to her on the bench to rest, and then her phone rang. Looking at the display and surprised, she picked up the phone. I'm listening. Hello, Rita. Do you recognize me? Her ex-husband's voice sounded muffled and strange. Rita realized he was very drunk. I recognize him. What did you want? I wanted to see my daughter. Your daughter? Do you have a daughter? Don't play dumb, Rita, Sergei said in a slurred voice. I'm not stupid. I realize that your Paulina is my daughter. I saw the pictures on the internet which you posted. She looks like me, like 2 drops of water. I want to see her. Listen, Sergei, Rita sighed. My daughter is already 3 years old. I can guess why you're only now you realized. I heard that you and your Sveta divorced. What, you got bored? You weren't interested in your daughter before. What's that got to do with it? I have the right to see my daughter, shouted Sergei with a drunken voice. And I had the right to my husband's fidelity. And to know the truth and not to go horny fool also had the right. Before you claim your rights, first learn not to violate others. My daughter has a wonderful father. You should have seen him in my pictures too. And you have nothing to do with Paulina. Goodbye. Rita hung up the phone. Paulina ran up to her, shaking her hands off the sand, and said cheerfully, Mommy, I'm hungry. Let's go home, sweetie. We'll eat. Rita walked down the path, holding her daughter's little hand tightly in her hand. She was absolutely happy. She had a favorite baby girl, Paulina, at home waited for her beloved husband, the night Alex, and under her heart beat another little life.